Hello and welcome back to Off Script with me, Hannah Bowman, and boy oh boy, have things switched up in MAFS over the last couple of days. Namely, one person, Brooke. What the hell? We'll get to that in a second. But first, let's chat through the main challenge that we had on the latest episode, Red Flag and Green Flag. It's given Squid Games, but it's not quite like death vibes yet, but who knows, this is MAFS. So we had all the girls in one room, all the guys in one room, chatting through their red flags and green flags for each other's couples. How could this possibly go wrong? So obviously, it kind of descended into chaos pretty quickly, but we did get a few good insights on like where the relationships are at, which is why we're here, guys. It's all about finding love. So I'm going to go through the main hitters for the day. So we had Beck. She got up and talked about her relationship with Danny, and they slept together again. So maybe there is chemistry? Who knows? She was kind of giving a little bit of the whole, like, I'm still not 100% sure that he's into me. And that's when the heckling kind of started. So no surprise that Gia was straight in there talking crap about Beck and Danny, but mainly Beck. Yeah, because these gals do not like each other. Or do they? Because this week there's been a lot of screenshots of different social media comments and pictures of them hanging out, and they look very friendly. So was it that they weren't friends, then they were friends, and they're not friends again? Or like what's going on? Is this a fake feud for the show so that they're the main characters, but would you want to be known as the villains? I don't think so. I think they genuinely don't really like each other. But time will continue to tell. Of course, the same thing happened when Gia gets up. She's telling the women about how she saw audition tape and him saying he didn't want to pay childcare or what was it, school fees and stuff like that. And of course, the heckling then came from Beck. There are a lot of shots of her pouring champagne and, mumbling things under her breath or just yelling out things as well. And we cannot leave out the men. So one of the main guys that really surprised me this week was Steve jumping up, and he's like, there are some green flags about Rebecca, but let me tell you about all the red flags. And then he just went crazy, which was such a contrast to kind of how they'd been shown previously. He did say, I'm a quiet, conservative guy, and she's really loud, and her humor's really out there and sexual and crazy. And he was like, there's a few things we're not compatible on. And so I went and had a little look through who he follows on Instagram, just out of interest. And he's following a lot of the like One Nation, Trumpy, Patriots kind of stuff, which each to their own. We need two sides of the coin for democracy to work, but maybe she's not quite on the same page as him. So, you kind of want to have your values aligned with your partner. So I can see why maybe this won't work. So it will be interesting. I've seen a lot of the clips teasing the commitment ceremony where he goes in and he's just like, everything's great, love it, love it, love it. And the guys are like, well, that's not really what you said when we were at the Royal Hotel in Paddington, was it? So it'll be very interesting to see how much they call him out on that, and then if he is honest and shares his actual thoughts on Rebecca. Now, back to the ladies, we had Brooke, who wasn't she the star of the show? She got up and she told all the women about Chris's audition tape, and they understandably were like, what the hell? Especially Rachel. Oh, her face looks so sad when they were talking about, him being like, I hate fake tan, I hate needy girls, and I hate fat people. Because when that all happened, we saw such a beautiful side of Brooke where she was like, that's not okay. What do you think you're saying? Like, grow up. You're in your 30s. This isn't like weird 18-year-old locker room chat. So it was so interesting to see this big switch that then happened when she sat down, Stella got up, and Brooke was heckling the absolute crap out of her. And she was also going at Alyssa, who was seeming really sweet and nice and really wanting to engage in what the other women were saying. Brooke's like, shut up, are you the expert? We're going to be here all day if Alyssa keeps talking. So she was really going in on Stella, really going in on Alyssa and rolling her eyes, like being really snide under her breath, saying things to Gia. And it was like Gia and Brooke looked like these two villains that were like arm in arm. And this brings me to a point of the rotating villain. So a couple of weeks ago, I went on Josh Fox's podcast, the MAFS Funny podcast, and it was before the show had started. And we were talking about the fact that there were rumours that this year's show was not going to have your set villain. So it wasn't like you're Olivia in your Olivia and Dom season. It was like there's actually going to be rotating villains. So like week by week, could be anyone. And I think we have kind of seen that in the switch up in Brooke, especially because Gia was kind of painted as the villain, Beck the crazy villain against Gia, and then now it's like Brooke was great one day and then the next day she's like this crazy, horrible, catty, bitchy character, and it will just be interesting to see if it keeps rotating around the circle. Like, is Rachel going to be the villain next? Is Rebecca going to do something crazy? Because really, from the previous episodes, I don't think anyone would have suspected Brooke to behave the way that she has now. Okay, now back to everyone's favourite terrible couple, Mel and Luke. So he got up and said to the guys, like, here are a few redeeming qualities, and then just said, but at the end of the day, I'm really struggling. I feel like she's been quite mean to me. And, you know, and they said at the Hens and Bucks, you had this light spark and now you seem so sad. And it was like a cute moment with the bros. Mel, on the other hand, she's like, green flag? Absolutely none. He's horrible. He's heinous. He's so mean to me and all this stuff. And it was interesting because Stella was really trying to hold space for the fact that, like, oh, maybe we aren't seeing both sides of the story and, you know, all that stuff. And Brooke's just like, you're not a girl's girl. And I find this really annoying because being a girl's girl isn't taking the side of the girl. You still have to, like, look at the situation as a whole. Like, being a girl's girl isn't blindly supporting someone doing the wrong thing, if that makes sense. So I think that Stella was very valid in saying, like, oh, we need to look at both sides of the story. And the fact that, yeah, like Gia went in on her, Brooke went in on her. I think Stella's like one of the smartest and most level-headed people there. And they're just jealous that she genuinely seems like she's getting on with her husband and that it really could work. So I feel like there has to be an element of jealousy there over the fact that her and Filip are just like a great match. And yeah, I hate this whole like going in on her for not being a girl's girl, because she's not an idiot. She's not just going to blindly support someone because of their gender, you know? So I like Stella and I really hope her and Filip work out, because that will make me feel a bit better for watching this absolute bottom of the barrel TV show. Now, a few episodes ago, I spoke about the fact that I kept getting messages from people saying that Scott is married. So Scott and Gia are getting on really well. And then I was having all these comments that, what about his wife? He's still married, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? And yes, he was married. So it's come to light that he legally married his wife, Marissa McElroy, who is a personal trainer from America. So she's from San Diego. They got married in a courthouse wedding, and he said that he was being used for a visa and that the relationship didn't even last 6 months, and this was back in 2019. But she is saying that they're still actually married. So I don't know, he might talk about it some more, and if he does, I'll let you know. What I will say is, I don't know if the experts knew about this, but when you look at his actual wife and then his MAFS wife, Gia, they are interchangeable. They look so similar. The blonde hair, the sleeve tattoos, they obviously got his type down pat, because it is actually a bit like eerie how similar they look. So yeah, that's about it of where we're at. I think it will be so interesting to see where Brooke goes from here. Also, the commitment ceremony, I cannot wait to see what Luke and Mel do, because from the pap shots I've seen, they stay around. But in what like context or what reason could they possibly give to stay in this hell longer, apart from the fact that they've put their lives on hold for 3 months and they may as well like stick it out? I don't know. But I guess we will see on Sunday night what the hell happens.